After over a year of making content, I still get comments like this almost every day, which indicates to me I've been doing a really bad job of explaining how this thing actually works, because the very basic core fundamentals, like, people just seem to be missing completely. So in this video, I'm going to do a beginner's guide to fluid chorded character entry algorithms. And we're going to break this thing down step by step how it actually works, starting with the layout. So the first thing to note is these are not one-dimensional switches like you're used to seeing. These are three-dimensional switches. So imagine placing your fingers in these little rings and just wiggling them around like in different directions very subtly to output anything that you could do on a regular keyboard. We haven't even got to chorded entry yet. This is still character by character, letter by letter, and this is actually a one-dimensional version of this keyboard, but we won't get into that in this video. So, what's really awesome is that in addition to those individual outputs, I can also press many letters at the same time to output entire words. So here's what happens. People see that jumble of letters that occurs right before a chord appears. Look at these letters, and they assume, oh, there's a correction occurring. They're used to using autocorrect, which is a function to improve their accuracy, rather than chorded text entry, which is actually occurring, that's a function to improve your speed. And they're very different. I'm not saying that autocorrect is bad or anything. It's just, it's not what's happening here, because there's no correction occurring. In order for a correction to occur, there has to be a mistake. Saying that I'm making mistakes by chording would be like saying that a musician is making mistakes by chording. Like, oh, you're only allowed to play one note at a time. Well, I think that chording in both music and in HCI add a amazing and beautiful depth to that interaction that you otherwise are just not possible by placing individual notes together. Not that there's anything wrong with individual notes. The whole principle of this design and what separates it from a lot of the ancient chording theories is that you can have both character entry and chorded entry working in harmony together. That's in the name. CharaChorder is great for character entry as well as chorded text entry. It is a portmanteau, CharaChorder, character, chord. Someone might ask, why do you even need to show that jumble of letters? Why can't you just show the chord output? And you can. That's an option that you can toggle, but it's not very popular because then you lose your real-time feedback when it comes to character entry. So let's say I'm typing WORD word. I might still be holding down the W key by the time I get to the D key. It's not a press, release, press, release, press, release, unless you're like a 2-year-old. If you're a proficient typer, it's more of a burst fire. It's like press, 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 release, release, release. Keep in mind that only 26 out of like 100 buttons on a keyboard are actually letters. We use keyboards for so much more than just text entry. And any software that uses hotkeys or macros or any other sort of press and relief behavior that you would expect from a keyboard is important to emulate on any keyboard replacement. And that is incredibly powerful, not just in the versatility of the device, but also when it comes to the intuitive learning of chording over time. If I'm a new user and I only know a handful of chords, this is no problem. I can still type 80% of a sentence in character entry. This is me typing one letter at a time, but I can also type in chords. This is no problem. You don't have to spend years learning a theory just to get started. Even if you only learn 100 chords, that's 50% of written English. That's how repetitive our language is. And anytime you want to add a chord, you can do that in the middle of an email or the middle of your sentence. Let's say I wanted to do a chord for, I already have a chord for sentence, but if I wanted to make a chord for sentence, then I activate this command. It's called impulse. I'll type that in character entry mode. That's going to ask me, okay, what do you want your input to be? And I can have compound inputs or individual inputs, but I'm just going to do all the letters of sentence. It's going to be my chord, and boom. Now I just rewrote my sentence with a new chord for sentence. But I can do that with literally any possible input that you can imagine to occur on your computer. And that's not writing that chord to my computer. It's written to my intelligent peripheral, which means if I unplug this and plug it into your smartphone, I still have access to that full interface the same way as I would on any other system. So we're sort of blurring the lines between what is a computer and what is a keyboard. We wrote the first operating system for intelligent peripherals that this runs on. I won't get into the details of generative text menus or the advanced arpeggiates, modifiers, fusion, Ebbinghaus levels. There's a lot more to this and a lot more depth and a lot more coming. But I hope that this sort of 5-minute quick mini lecture was enough to to clarify and at least help people understand that it's a little bit different than autocorrect. But thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. And yeah, talk soon.